So they. Whoa, something's recording. What did that say, Bernie?
Yeah, I just started the recording.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So
be careful what you say now.
John Sand will probably tune into the recording. He's out. Well, you just saw him, Harry. Is he out on a camping trip?
He said he was going to be on this thing.
Yeah, I encouraged him to get on with his phone. If you
He's
know,
probably taking a nap.
Yeah, somebody just joined us.
no, George just left.
George just left us. Yeah.
Yeah, they left us.
George gave up.
Yeah.
Luckily, we couldn't hear him.
Yeah, let's open, George gets on here. John could get him down there to Phoenix where he lives. We went through a town that has a monastery, which is one of the most incredible architectural achievements I've ever seen. It's just maybe 45 minutes outside of Tucson. And we stopped there on the way to John's house last week when we went to see him. And George would love it. I mean, it's Greek Orthodox. It's Greek Orthodox, and it's just absolutely mind-boggling.
Hey, I'll call you
It's
back.
a whole campus, building after building of ornate, beautiful architecture.
Are there monks there,
Yeah.
Harry? Are there?
Yes, there are. Yes, they train there.
Wow.
I guess they
Wow.
train. They got
Huh.
and the women. When the women go, the women have to wear a hood to cover their hair and a long skirt. And Melanie, fortunately, had the long skirt with her. And but the men they can't go in. They can't be sloppy, but the men can wear normal clothes.
Okay.
And they enforce it. And every time you go in a building, there's somebody there standing, waiting for somebody to come in.
Wow.
It's just, if you're ever in that neighborhood, which is kind of out of the way
Out
in
of the
most
way.
places, but
Yeah.
it is just worth the trip.
Wow. Well, I don't know if George will join us again or not. Today, y'all saw the announcement on. Oh, here he comes. Let's see if you can.
Connecting.
Okay, connecting to audio.
Yeah, that's good to hear from you, George.
Yeah, still connecting.
You must be in the middle of
He's
nowhere.
going back to school for another degree.
No, he's up in Punta Verde, and that is hardly the middle of nowhere.
Where is he?
Hardly.
Amelia Island, south end of Amelia Island. They had 3 homes up there, condos over the course of the years, a lot of years. Then when Georgia died, Bernie sold the home that they had, and he's rented or B&B a place and was up there for about 10 days. I was up there last week to see him. Bernie, you said you talked to him today. I think he's about to check out.
He leaves Saturday to drive back to Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Yeah. Yeah. He drives back and forth, which is a pretty good haul from Michigan, but he comes through
Oh, Zeus.
Winston-Salem or Charlotte, where his kids are.
Oh,
So, like a lot of us, when we take off on a motor trip, we capitalize on it and
Oh,
stop.
okay. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
I can hear you guys, but okay.
Yeah. Okay. You just. Oh, good. So log out and log back in.
Okay.
Thanks.
so where is this? You said Amelia Island. What state is that in?
Oh, Florida. That's offshore of Jacksonville,
Oh, okay. Got it.
Florida.
Okay.
It starts right at the Georgia line, runs south, gets within maybe 30 miles or so of St. Augustine.
Oh,
So it
my.
runs offshore there a good ways. But most of Amelia Island is the very high rent district. Lots of golf clubs, lots of
Huh.
gated communities. It's Bernie, you've been there?
No, never have been.
Okay.
I've been there a couple times.
Okay. You know what I'm talking about then, Kurt. It really is upscale.
Right.
You probably went on a cruise there.
Hey, Fuse, while we're waiting for George, you're close to Sebring, right? You took us there when we visited you.
Correct.
We watch a lot of HGTV, and those people are in Sebring, I guess, trying to revitalize the town.
Yes, they were here last year.
Yeah.
And they did that, and it's been quite the hit. It was amazing to see what they did.
Yeah, I was impressed. They had at Sebring. We're trying to think, it wasn't a malt shop. The place they spent a lot of time in, I'm trying to think, it's called Sebring something, but had to do with a drink, I think, or something. Soda.
I don't know. Since I can't get HGTV, all I know is what I see in the paper.
Oh, yeah. But anyway, it was kind of, they work out of, young couple works out of Mississippi, but they went up to Florida to do some work with the people. Yeah. It was kind of very
they were here for a good long time. They painted, they refurbished, they put new fascias,
right.
frontages, posts, on the porches.
Yeah.
Replaced windows, everything to make it TV.
How close is that to you? Because it didn't seem like we drove very far to get there.
10 miles.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, it's pretty close.
Yeah. Sebring has all of the businesses and restaurants. Lake Placid is a tiny little community. I don't know how many of you remember ever going to Sheridan, but Lake Placid is twice the size that Sheridan was. So it's pretty small.
Yeah, it has all those it still has all the paintings on the buildings downtown, doesn't it?
Yes, they've added some new murals. They still call themselves the Mural City of the U.S. Reader's Digest did a great article on them. People come in, they bring buses up from Miami.
Really?
Wow.
And Naples, I find it hard to believe, but people take buses up here to see the Caladiums and the murals. And yeah, and yet there's only one place really to go for breakfast, and really no place. Well, that's not quite true. There is a Golden Corral, a buffet.
Oh my.
So you can go there for lunch or dinner.
And how did you happen to pick Lake Placid when you moved from the coast?
By accident. And the short story is we put the house, the boat, and a vacant deepwater lot that we owned in Punta Gorda all on the market the 1st of November. And we said, whichever one does not sell, that's what we'll do. We'll go live on the boat or we'll go build a new house or whatever. Well, they all sold. Yeah, before Thanksgiving, we didn't own anything. So there was a guy I'd been talking to up in Lakeland, and he had 10-acre plots on a lake. So we drove up there to see him, see what he had. Couldn't find the damn place. So we were driving back down 27, which I hadn't driven on for a long time. 27 goes right through the middle of the state on a diagonal from Miami to Tallahassee. And there were all these signs, these big billboards and everything, stop and pick up local maps and see the lakes and so forth. So we did. And this real estate lady, a wonderful, absolutely wonderful Jewish lady from Miami that moved up here with her husband, she never let go. Absolutely didn't let go. By the time we got back to Delray Beach, which was about a 2-hour drive, my emails were coming in. She was phoning. She said, I got properties I want you to see, and all. Just a real tiger. But we came over here and bought a lot, built a house.
Wow.
But if she hadn't grabbed a hold of us like that, we would have just blown it off. It was an interesting little cow town.
Wow.
Were you relatively free of really terrible hurricanes there? I don't recall you getting hit. What was that like in the middle of the state there? It wasn't hurricane free, I'm sure, but.
Well, we get the tornadoes that the hurricanes bring.
Oh, that's worse.
So when they talk about a hurricane moving across the state, like from Marco to Jacksonville, those of you that know the layout of the state, that'd be diagonally across the state.
Uh-huh.
There'll be dozens, if not hundreds, of tornadoes. Now, Pete knows this from living in the Midwest. Some of these tornadoes are just dust devils, and some of them are real devils. They tear up the whole town. The worst one we've had was Irma, which was 3 years ago, and we lost a lot of trees. And that's the worst damage that we've had. So, you know, we'll see cloudy day, gray days for 2 or 3 days, 4 days, 5 days ahead of the hurricane. And we'll get some rains and a little wind, and everybody talks about it, but we're not in the threat. Now, down where Bernie is, they say that when they say that there's a hurricane that's got Marco Island in its eye,
Yeah.
Marco Island clears out. We're not that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have cattle ranches around there?
Yes, boy. There are 6. When I was on planning and zoning, anyway, on county commission, we had 6 ranches in the county. There were over 100,000 acres. And I don't know how many there are now, but probably about the same number. I know one that's sold and they broke it, but there have been some consolidations. Pete, the cattle that they raise here are calves. This grass does not support fat cattle. It's not a good grass for supporting fattening out cattle. And it's way too expensive to bring in hay and corn from the Midwest. So they have a breeding operation here, and it's sort of different than the Midwest in that, at least what we did, we had registered herd of milk cattle. And we kept the bulls isolated from the cows until they were ready to breed. And we were careful to keep family records, you know, so you didn't get crossbreeding going and that kind of thing. These cattle will run in bigger than sections, and a section is 640 acres a mile square. These fields, can't see one side of them from the other. Many times when you drive down the highway, you can't see the house that's associated with that ranch. It's too far off the field, off the road. But the cattle run free, and they do bring them in for vaccinations, and they ear tag them so they read them mostly with barcodes. Some of them have RFID readers, but the bulls run with the cattle, and they run multiple bulls. And you know, bulls generally, I thought anyway, didn't like to be with other bulls. You know, if you had 2 bulls, you had to keep them in 2 different places. You're likely to see.
I don't see bulls anymore. It's all AI.
Well, yeah, that's what we got to. When I was in high school, my dad had me trained to do artificial insemination over in Carmel. There was a plant. And so sometimes I would go out to the farm before school and breed one of the cattle. And of course, everybody in school thought that was really funny. You know, Pusey's fucking the cattle. But they don't use much AI here. You know, they just let them run, and they use crosses. Generally, you'll see crossed Bramers with most everything. A lot of Angus showing up. Charolais, a few Charolais. Not many Hereford Shorthorns, cattle that we're familiar with. You know, you might see somebody keeping half a dozen Guernseys just to milk for their own use, but there's
not many purebreds anymore.
No. Except
George, can you say something so we can hear you? Oh, we're not able to hear you, and I saw you had been muted, and then you went off mute, but we cannot hear you.
Yep.
You're
So
just in print. George, you're just in print.
Yeah, I can't see you either. Well, he probably can hear us. That's too bad. He's the honoree of the day.
But Pete, to go to your ag question and carry it a little further, every rancher here has horses, and it isn't because they like horses or like to ride. And it's very common to say, be at McDonald's in line waiting to get your breakfast, whatever, and there'll be a couple of horse trailers up ahead of you in line with anywhere from 1 to 4. 4 is a big trailer, all saddled, and they're just stopping off before they go out to the fields, and they work them. They work from horseback.
Done twice.
George, you're on twice.
He's connecting to audio, so we'll see if this works.
He'll have to talk out of one side of his mouth.
Ernie, you've got an iPhone, and Kurt's got an iPhone. Maybe you can tell him how to.
Oh, I don't have an iPhone.
Well, you sure have an iPad.
I've got an iPad.
Well, okay. Bernie, you could probably tell George how to, because he uses Apple. I believe George is
George,
on.
same thing. We cannot see you and cannot hear you. You're on twice. And you know what, George, drop off here, and or no, don't drop off. Drop off one of the two so you can see us, and I'll call you up, and you can be on my speaker.
Isn't technology wonderful?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if you know how to use it.
Yeah.
I'm about ready to throw this piece of shit in the garbage here. I don't know.
Oh, there. Oh, that's the phone. Okay.
Yeah.
When I was joining it, there was a little thing that said bar, 2 bars across it. It said, if you don't want audio and video, and I touched it by mistake, and I have gone back to 0 and shut the computer down twice and restarted it, thinking that would go away and I could, start clean. But no, it's just there forever now, it seems, in Zoom. And now Zoom says I don't have enough points to do anything. I thought, I need this like Custer need another. I
Well, you shouldn't need any. I've got the account, and so I don't think any of you should have to have an account with Zoom.
I touched the wrong,
Yeah.
you touched the wrong thing, and I can't get rid of it now. I was gonna dump my Zoom thing on my browser, but I can't find out how to do that either. So straight, and I thought I'd just start over again, but I don't know.
You have to get one of your grandchildren to. Yeah.
If I recall right, George, you're within hailing distance of the ocean. You might try giving your iPhone a bath in the ocean. I think he went underwater.
A long time. How are you, buddy?
Bill, did you hear? Bill Stern, did you hear George?
No, I didn't.
Oh, he says he hadn't seen you in a long time. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing fine, George. Wish we could see you. Your picture that Bernie put on there, you sure look great.
Well, thank you.
Gonna lose your engineering degree.
What'd you say, Pete?
He's gonna lose his engineering degree.
Yeah, Pete says they're going to revoke your engineering degree.
Well, I was a distinguished engineer, extinguished engineer, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of you I started looking a while back, not very long ago, to see what kind of distinguished graduates we had from Purdue, and came upon a couple. I don't know that the popcorn guy graduated from Purdue.
Oh, yeah.
And then that pilot, I'm trying to think of his name, that landed landed the airplane in the Hudson River. He was from Purdue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Master's
The
degree.
astronaut, we all know about that, but I was kind of surprised to find that that pilot was from Purdue.
Several astronauts were from Purdue.
Oh yeah. Oh no. Well,
I used to
Purdue
do-
was leading the pack there for the first 10 years.
Yeah.
Then the Naval Academy took over, but then the other thing was that they had accused. Which one is it? Of that he where the capsule sunk.
Oh, John Glenn.
No.
Oh, Grissom.
Yeah, Grissom. Yeah. So
He was in a fire.
Yeah,
He
he
died
was
in a
Roger
fire.
Chaffee. Roger Chaffee was in.
Yeah, but before that, he was in one that they said almost sunk.
Yeah, and they had blamed him for causing the thing to sink. They just brought it up a while back, and they said they exonerated him finally after all these years that he did nothing wrong.
Huh.
Yeah.
But he got a lot of flack over that, I guess. So
I think there were like 15, if I remember the correct number, of astronauts that were at Purdue in and around the same time we were, in and around, say, 57 to 60.
yeah,
Dirk and I, because we had a lot of our classes at the airport and a lot of the classes were aeronautical, we rubbed shoulders with several of those guys.
oh my,
Roger Chaffee used to walk to Naval ROTC drill every week because he was in Skull House right next door.
Yeah.
But I knew him pretty well.
All house, yeah.
Skull House, yeah, okay.
He married a Theta, I think, too.
Okay.
George give up.
Here we are, we're spellbound.
it
No.
is pretty amazing though. I had just used Zoom. I guess I got hooked up with my granddaughter is graduating in May, but she put on a paper down at ASU, and that worked pretty well. It's just amazing, what they're doing these days, and they turn you on, and turn you off, and you don't have to drive down there. You don't have to sit in the heat. I mean, it's just fantastic. But it's almost as if you went. I mean, they're thanking you for coming.
Well, my older daughter retired. She was a chemical engineer. She retired from a career at General Motors and has since gone into teaching. And she's now a professor at a college in Tennessee. And she's only on campus 4 days a week. And that is to conduct a couple of labs and to meet with students who want to meet and come in, have personal interviews. Everything else is online. All of the material, the syllabus, all of the reference material, they can go through a class and never go to the bookstore. I'm just amazed sometimes. And she'll be working. They went to Australia with us in December, and she was finishing up the finals on one of her classes while we were on the cruise ship in Australia.
Wow.
Yeah. That's
Well, Kreiner just announced it's called the Mitch Daniels. The master's program is called Mitch Daniels instead of Kreiner now. But anyway, they just announced online a degree that can be obtained online.
Oh.
Yeah, my son years ago went to University of Phoenix. I poo-pooed that. I said, "Who ever heard of the University of Phoenix?" But anyway, he took all the classes online except one, which he finished up and took a class at Long Beach State down right near where he lives in Hermosa Beach. He says, "Dad, I raised my hand 3 times. I got an A." That's all there was. The other classes, apparently, the kid learned how to write because he had to correspond with the professor and the other students, and everything was written. And he got laid off. He was going to be laid off by Medtronics. That's where he still works. But they told him, we're getting rid of that line that you sell, and we're gonna put you on a 3-year thing. We're gonna decrease your salary 10% per year, and you should start looking. So anyway, they said they had a position open in business development manager for pacemakers. So he wrote a business plan, and boom, they moved him over there. And I said, so they liked your plan. He said, would you like to read it? I said, yeah. So I read it, but the kid learned how to write, how to put things in writing, and that's something that's really lacking these days. But yeah, they've advertised getting a master's and MBA for $11,000 in 1 year.
Mhm.
But some people aren't up to that online stuff. It takes a lot of you got to when he was working and raising a family and surfing in the morning, and you got to be pretty ambitious to hang in there, and find the time to stay with it. But anyway, I was pretty impressed with these online classes. I think they may be better than going to class, actually. If it's right for you, kind of a thing.
Yeah. Interesting.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Did
if I
you-
can hear you. Is that his phone that we heard in there, Bernie?
Yeah. Can you?
Ah,
Hear me?
not over the system.
No, but can you hear his voice over the phone?
I can hear it over your phone.
Yeah. I hear Bill.
Bob, can you hear George?
Barely.
Barely.
Yeah, barely. It's barely. Yeah.
It's very faint.
I've got it turned up as high. I've got the volume turned up as high as it'll go. Whoops, I had the wrong. You still there, George?
Yeah.
Okay. I got the volume up as high as it'll go. I think.
Hey, you can turn on closed caption. I've got it on. That really helps. Just like you do on TV.
Here. Can you hear him?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, they can barely hear you, George.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I can't do it any better. I've got it right up to my mouth here, the phone. So, because I got the sound going through my cell phone.
Oh, good.
The other wasn't working for some damn reason.
Well, when you get to North Carolina, have your grandson look at it.
That's right. We all need.
I'm gonna have this computer clean.
Maybe somebody's grandkids there can help him.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I was right on top of this stuff in my days at AT&T. I was always at the forefront of all the technology. Have I lost it? It's got me way by.
Yeah. How about this fiasco with the White House and their little chat that they had, or not the White House, but the crew? That's interesting. They still haven't figured out how that guy's name got in the list. It'll be interesting to see what comes, if they're honest with us, as to what happened.
It was probably a bureaucrat that is on the far left.
Yeah.
He put that number down there with the name. What Walt said was the name was the name of somebody that was supposed to be on the call, but the number was this Atlantic guy reporter's number.
Yeah.
Well, that's what they won't say it, but I suspect it's some liberal guy on the staff that set that up.
Exactly. That is exactly what I think, Bernie.
Yeah. And they can't. Why didn't they vet the guy? Why not be careful who's setting the call up?
Well, they at least after the fact said they already had. Oh no, it was some other colonel. Some colonel was on some probably Fox Networks. I got a lieutenant colonel guy, and he said, well, he was a past pilot, and he said, we use that system too. But if we had anything to say that we didn't want anybody else to say, he said we didn't use it. They had the general. They said we wouldn't even take a chance.
Yeah.
They used it to say hello and goodbye and stuff like that. But if it was even close to being something that was critical, if you didn't want anybody to see it. And these guys that had this meeting, they said, because they asked one of them, I think that guy that fessed up and said it was his fault. He's just taking the blame for it. But anyway, they asked him, well, if you had all to do other again, he said, would you mind if that was public knowledge? He said, no, we don't want that. So this lieutenant colonel guy said, if you got that feeling, you don't want anybody to read it, don't use it, because
Right.
you're going to get in trouble. It's like if you put something on the internet, you're getting yourself in big trouble.
Yeah, I think the Disney organization is finding that out with gal that played Snow White.
Oh, yeah.
Kurt, your son Bill say anything about? Does he talk? Not Jeff. What's your son's name with Disney? Jeff.
Jeff,
Yeah.
Jeff.
Has he mentioned anything about that Disney fiasco? The fiasco with Snow White?
No,
Fortunately, it's not in his part of the business.
yeah, he's more concerned. Like the other day, he was at Epcot, and all of a sudden, smoke appeared, and behind France, there was a cooler that caught the electrical caught on fire, and was in all the papers and the TV news.
Yeah, I saw a picture of it.
Mhm.
Well, Bernie, talking about background people, know things. Do you have any reason why your nephew is still a general and they went through all the purges and they lost a couple of top flight generals?
I never talked to Eric about, his job or anything like that because I don't know what he can say or what he can't say, and I don't want like this systemic thing, what happened. So I never talked to him about that. I can't wait until he retires. He's going to have some great stories. But my personal view on that is that the people that they got out were the people that did not work their way through to their position the normal way. In other words, the guy who was chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, he was a black guy, and I don't know his background, but my guess is that he got there because of his race and the diversity, equity, inclusion. Biden administration put him there. The admiral who was in charge of the Navy was a woman. She no doubt didn't have, looking at Eric's way up, he as a colonel, he'd been in Iraq twice. He was in Fallujah when they turned that around. He was as a bird colonel, he was he was assistant to the commandant of the Marine Corps, and then he went over to Afghanistan as commanding officer of the 8th Marine Division, or 8th Marine Regiment. I'm sorry, the 8th Regiment. And then as a 1-star, he was the senior military aide to Ashton Carter when Carter was the Deputy Secretary of Defense. And then he went down here to Miami, and we had New Year's with him when he was down here, and he was in charge of all the Marines in Central and South America. Ashton Carter got promoted to Secretary of Defense and specifically asked for Eric to be his senior military aide. It's a 3-star position, and he had the authorization to make Eric a 3-star. Eric said, "Sir, please don't do that." He wanted to get if he was going to get the 3-star, he wanted to get it through the normal chain of command. So he served in that 3-star position for a year and a half as a 1-star. As soon as that assignment was over, he became a 2-star and commanding officer of the 1st Marine Division, which is a big deal. Mary and I went out to Camp Pendleton for the change command ceremony. It was really impressive. And so then as a 3-star, he was over in Okinawa in charge of all the Marines in the Pacific. and then he became Commandant of the Marine Corps. Became Assistant Commandant of the Marine Corps first, and then Commandant of the Marine Corps. So he was never in danger because he came up the normal way. I didn't study it, but those that I saw that were relieved, it appeared to me they were in their positions because of DEI, and they had not earned them through the merit process.
I think you ought to invite him to our reunion, Bernie. I'd sure like to meet him.
Yeah, yeah. He's an impressive guy.
How old a guy are we talking about, Bernie?
60 or 61.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, maybe 62. But he's 2 years into a 4-year assignment. And then he'll retire. So he's got 2 more years to go.
Wow.
And how many years will you have been in the Marines, Bernie? Do you know?
Well, he went to Texas A&M, and he graduated when my nephew Bob graduated. He and Bob were roommates, and Bob introduced him. Eric is married to my niece. So my niece's brother Bob was a roommate of Eric's and introduced him to his sister. And Bob would have graduated in about 1987. And he
38 years.
he went into the Marines directly. When he graduated, he went into the Marines.
Yes, 38 years, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So he was in Desert Storm as a lieutenant.
Oh my. Oh, that was a short war. That was
His first tour in Iraq, he was in a Jeep and he got a bullet in the knee. And it was a half hour before he got it treated. He was we saw him interviewed on one of the national news shows. And he said, "We're trained in the Marines to reach for our weapon, not for our wound." Then he checked himself out of the hospital. Went back on his into his position. So yeah. He on emails he ends them all with Semper Fi.
Yeah, I enjoyed watching the VP there at Quantico. He ended his talk with Semper Fi. We did a pretty impressive talk off the cuff.
Yeah. Vance was a Marine.
Yeah, well,
he just went down to Quantico. And
yeah, so I say he went through a lot of stuff with him, but it was pretty impressive him talking to all the troops down there.
I read his book when it first came out. It's really a good book if you haven't read it.
No, did they make a movie? I haven't seen that. I think
they made a movie out of it. I'm pretty sure they did. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty impressive guy.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hear me?
Yeah.
Hello?
They can.
Yeah, they did make a movie, and it was on Netflix. It is on Netflix, and it's really interesting. And it's absolutely amazing to see what this guy has done, coming from a really, really, really bad atmosphere and bad environment in the coal country in Ohio. So I urge you to watch it, because it's just an hour and a half or 2 hours on Netflix. Or buy the book. I didn't buy the book. I just watched it, but it was really good.
That book's really good. What's the name of the movie, George?
The same as the book. Okay.
I know it's the same as the book, but I can't think of what it is.
You guys are passing the buck.
Well, I don't know, Roy. I can't remember.
Yeah. I can't.
Well, your memory's pretty good, George. What'd you have for breakfast?
Google it. You have to Google it.
the hell was the name of it? I'll think of it before I go to bed anyway.
Or 2 in the morning, you'll wake up and think of it, but don't call.
Yeah.
Don't call me.
Then when he calls you, you'll forgotten it. You better
Yeah.
write it down.
Oh,
Oh my.
It's one word. It's one word, 2 or 3 syllables.
Oh well. Okay. Whatever.
Okay, let's go around the room for the good of the order. George, why don't you start us off?
Well, I'm in Florida, as you know, or I think you know. I'm going home Saturday. I'm driving to Charlotte. I'm going to spend 3 nights with my son Nick and his family in Charlotte, and then on to Ohio for overnight, and then into Michigan back home. So I've had a good time down here, seeing a lot of old friends. Pusey, as I think I heard you.
Hey, Hank, can I call you back? I'm on a Zoom. I'm on a Zoom with my Pledge brothers here. We're just about done. Okay.
Bob came by and we had a nice visit here, and had dinner, breakfast, and what have you. And I've seen a lot of friends here for that, because we had a home down here for 35 years, 3 different places, but we were members of the Sawgrass Club for 35 years, so it's an old home week. I really like it here, but discretion is a better part of valor. I've got to stay close to my family up north, so that's where my daughter is. And so I'll be going back up. And that's it. I think I'm going to Chicago for Peter Frampton is having a concert at the Chicago Theater, and my son is buying tickets. So I'm going to take the train over to Chicago, go to the Peter Frampton concert, and spend 1 night, I think, in Chicago. I'll take my Glock 9 with me when I go. And
Yeah. Oh my.
other than that, everything else is pretty quiet, and just hanging in there. Every day is a new day.
Good. I'm glad you found a way to be with us today.
Well, I also, let me say one more thing. I am, I got to tell you, I am so, I'm surprised, touched, honored, and all the rest about this significant SIG thing. There are so many guys in our class who, in my view, are significant SIG. So I just, I can't believe it. I really appreciate all the nice words that I've received from almost everybody. And I look forward to seeing those that can come to the 150th. I know Bob is coming up, and John Sand is coming up. Bernie's and I are definitely going to be there. And
Harry's going to be there.
Oh, good, Harry. Good. All right. One more. And then my sons are coming up. There are 6 from Wake Forest University. And my son-in-law was a SIG at Beloit College. He was a consul at Beloit College. And so they're going to come over and share this occasion with me, which I'm really happy about. And so all I can say is your cranky queester is honored.
Wonderful.
You're well deserving.
Don't juggle the books.
Yeah.
Okay, Harry, Phil, you're next.
Okay, sorry about the interruption, but it was a Sigma Chi old friend of mine who lives in Phoenix. Some of you might know his name. He was a assistant. He was the line coach for the Chicago Bears for some time. He also then became a coach for the Arizona Cardinals when they moved there, and he liked it. He's a high school friend, and also played baseball. He was my catcher when we played high school and American Legion ball. And his name is Hank Kuhlman. then brings in he lives in Chandler right now, which is a suburb of Phoenix, and he just called to set up time for us to go to lunch. So,
Nice, nice. Well, where did he go to? Where did he do his undergraduate work?
pardon? Undergraduate, he messed around a bit, but
University of Missouri.
I don't know what he took, but he played both. He was Big 8 football running back twice, and he also played baseball minor league, and he ended up coaching. So I don't know exactly what his undergraduate work was, but I would assume
What
it's got
school? What school?
something to do with sports.
What school, Harry? Harry.
Oh, Missouri.
Oh, Missouri. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Kurt would know him. Well, Kurt does know him.
Yeah.
And he, he's kind of a living legend in my high school. The year he graduated, he's a year behind us, and the entire backfield of our high school went to Missouri, and they all started for the Missouri Tigers. So it's kind of an interesting situation.
Yeah.
So
Well, we look forward, George and Bob and John Santa. Look forward to seeing you in West Lafayette in June, Harry.
Pete may join us too.
Yeah,
And Pete. Yeah, Pete. Right.
yeah,
Right.
just for the day.
Pete, you're up next.
Okay. Everything's fairly calm here, about the same situation, but very enjoyable here where I live. I still get out to the cave every week or so for a night. I've got a room out there, kind of an apartment. I got two apartments, one in my place here and one out there, and so it's pretty interesting to go back and forth, and I get to see the little bit outside that way. Everybody's healthy, and a lot of them have been to Florida for different things, and got granddaughter coming in today that she's working at the
Do you still have a granddaughter working for Disney?
yeah, I got one working for Disney, then another one's working last weekend and this weekend, or this week for the NCAA. She's running the camera for the interviews of the coaches after and players after the game. And in two cities, two regionals. So I get to see her because she's in Indianapolis this weekend. And then she lives in Denver most of the time now.
Well, you're looking good, Pete.
Get to see people that way.
Hey, Kurt.
I am.
Yeah.
You're on.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, things are quiet down here. I've been volunteering mowing 2.5 acres of my daughter's Special Hearts farm, and looks like that's going to be stopping now. I've been doing it for about 2 years with another fella, and so they're selling their property and buying one that's more acreage. They're going from 14 acres to 18 acres. And so we've been busy with that. We got tickets. They have a special deal down here for Walt Disney tickets if you're a Florida resident. And so we signed up for that. I said to my wife, "You think you can do it?" And she said she thought she could. We figured on going to Epcot twice during the flower and garden show. So we went last Thursday, and I tried to talk her into getting a scooter, but my son says 2/3 of the scooters are people driving them for the first time at Disney. And so I said, why don't we get a scooter? She said, no, I think I can do it. Well, she couldn't do it. We said to stop. Disney's Epcot is you have to walk a lot, so there's a lot of walking to do, and so we managed to get around and get out of the park, but we went there and we were trying to get the food because they do food at each one of the countries, and she found that most of the stuff on her diet that she's on now she couldn't eat.
Oh.
So we had potato pancakes. She can eat that. So we had potato pancakes at Germany. And that was the only thing we had. And they had that with applesauce, and she can't eat applesauce. So she had it plain. But so we got 2 more to go. So I was talking to my son about it. And he said he thought he could help us out. So we'll see what happens. We can go to any park we want to. And but we have to get reservations ahead of time. But I'm sure my son would take care of that.
Yeah, that won't be a problem.
Yeah. We signed up. We lost a cruise. Our 71st cruise, we didn't go on because we were all sick. So it didn't have insurance on it. So we lost our money. But that's the first time that we've missed a cruise in 71 times. So I figure that's not too bad. So we got another one going August the 30th over Labor Day, and it's going to Labadee, Haiti, Falmouth, Jamaica, and their private island. It's a 6-night cruise, and they had a particularly good deal for suites, so I bought a suite, and so we'll have a nice room on the ship, that's for sure.
Kurt, did you say Haiti?
Yeah.
Going to Haiti?
You heard him right. Yep.
It's the cruise ships have been looking for places to go, so they've established places, and they've got Amber Cove as one of theirs. The one I just said is one of theirs. Castameo, they got together and put together a stop there in Mexico, and they've got one more that they're coming up with in Mexico. So they're looking for places to go, and they've set these things up where they figure a lot of people want to just be at the ocean and swim and scuba dive and things like that. So that's what these things are primarily. There's Costa Maya, of course, has a lot of shops, but Amber Cove and the one in Haiti don't have many shops. So we're doing that. We're doing that we go August the 30th and get back September the 5th. So,
George, I suggest you wear a helmet liner and a flak vest if you go to Haiti.
What do you say?
George suggested that Kurt wear a flak vest and a helmet when he goes to Haiti.
Well, most cruises go to third world countries, but they just have a resort at each stop.
Haiti is sort of a 4th or 5th world.
Yeah.
Right.
yeah.
Right. Wow. Well, thank you, Kurt. Sterno, what's going on?
Yeah, we haven't been anywhere in quite a while. We are going to go to a graduation, Lord willing, in San Diego State. A grandson's graduating. So we're going to, and then I have a dear friend that I worked with for years, the best man at my wedding, who lives down near San Diego at the Puma Valley Country Club. And it was established by Billy by the evangelist and John Wayne. It's really a really neat place, hidden away on an Indian reservation, but very close to San Diego, and the climate's good and warm. So we have another graduation a week earlier with a granddaughter in Arizona, but I think I told you guys, even my son says, Dad, I wouldn't go. It's too hot. He says, I can't stand it there. But he says, I wouldn't, we won't feel bad if you don't make it there, spend 2 or 3 days in the heat, in when is that going to be? Middle of May, still going to be pretty hot. So
You mentioned brother John Wayne. Remember
yeah.
when we were in school, we used to refer to him as John fucking Wayne.
Yeah, this place is kind of unique. Like I say, you drive off the interstate and the road goes from 4 lanes to 2 lanes to 2 lane country, and then you finally end up at this place about 14 miles out of Temecula off the main freeway. But it's quite a nice place, and I've never heard of it before until he moved down there. He hadn't heard of it either. He's a native Californian, so he grew up in Southern California, still never heard of it, but it's kind of a unique little place. So Lord willing, we'll go down there and spend a few days in the middle of May.
Nice. Robert Levitt Pusey.
Hey, I don't really have anything to contribute. We've already talked through. It was nice to hear from all of you about Shirley. So thank you for those thoughts. But everything's good here. I'm going up to Indiana in June, see Dolores. I'm not going to be there for the full time of the celebration. I'm just going to drive up, pick up Pete, and we're going to come up and see Dolores's ceremony and have dinner with you guys, and then leave. But life is different, but it's good.
Good. Well, not much. We're down in Florida. Came down the first week of February, and we're going to stay until the end of May, and then head back. And we had our older daughter and her husband were down here in February for a week, and then our younger daughter's coming down in 10 days for a week, and then we've got a grandson coming down the first week of May, and one of the 4 granddaughters coming down the third week of May. So. So, we have a lot of visitors, but we're enjoying our time down here.
Can I interrupt one thing?
Yeah.
I have visited with Ruth Batman and Nancy Morton and Marjorie Warwick in the past month or so, and they're all doing pretty well.
Oh, really? They came to see you?
No, I visited with them on the phone.
Oh, you visited with them on the phone. Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to see Nancy in the next month or so, probably,
Okay.
and possibly Marjorie.
Has anybody touched bases with Shirley Ellis for a while?
Only by email, but
Yeah, that's the way I did.
yeah, the ranks are getting thinner. Okay, brothers. Good to be with you, and see you next month.
Okay. God bless you.
Hey,
Take care.
God bless you all.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
see ya.